No matter what kind of project you have around the shop, if you're looking for some tips and some help, it's time for Sam's Garage, presented by ARP with Master Mechanic Sam Mamolo.
Well, come on in and see what I got going on. I appreciate you helping me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Welcome to Sam's Garage. Well, we got a lot going on today. We're going to make your life a little easier when it comes to working with steel, whether you're cutting, grinding, taking out spot welds. I got some help. Dan Wittek here from 3M. Dan, what's your title?
I'm the technical service manager at 3M in the
good.
automotive aftermarket division.
And you do a lot of metal work.
Yeah, historically now, a little bit less now, but I used to be a former body technician.
Well, good. Okay, what I've got here is a bedside for my 38 GMC, and I got to pull these rails off. This is pretty thick steel.
Yeah, it's really thick steel, especially when you compare it to some of the newer cars.
Yeah, but the new cars, if you're in a collision situation, you know, they got high strength steel. It wears out your cutters and your drill bits and so on. So this thing here, I got to remove both of these pieces, by the way. They're pretty ragged. I've ordered new ones. Looks to me like it's spot welded on. How would you go after this?
Definitely spot welded on. We can use the same technology that we use on the newer metals, and it'll work equally well on this, and that's using an abrasive to remove those spot welds rather than a tool.
Okay.
Or rather than a drill, I'm sorry, excuse me. This is our file belt tool, which basically, because of its long reach, we can get in and access this area and remove paint, and then actually remove the metal in a very concentrated area.
Let's go take some
Show you
paint
how that
off.
works? Great. Yeah. We'll throw in some safety gear here first.
Absolutely. Save your hearing. You know, if you've been doing this as long as I have, you know, I don't hear a thing anymore. Maybe a little bit too late, but if you're young, put your earplugs in, and if you're going to make a lot of dust, it doesn't hurt to have a particle mask for sure.
Okay. Okay, Sam, so you can see how it really nicely identifies that spot weld right there? Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna switch abrasives on this file belt tool.
All right. That's a great way to go. You know, there's all kinds of ways to identify a spot weld, but you definitely want to get them cleaned up and look at it. And tell me about the Cubitron 2.
Yeah, so this is 3M's new abrasive technology called Cubitron 2. It's a precision shaped grain. Basically what that means is the mineral, it's little triangles that are oriented in a similar fashion with the sharp side pointing up.
Okay.
And as it wears, it continues to fracture and just makes a new sharp edge. So you get really long-lasting performance on metal.
Let's cut this.
Sure. Okay, so what I'm gonna do right here is just go forwards and backwards and just rock the tool a little bit until I feel like I've gone through the thickness of that metal.
All right.
Okay, and then you want to stop so that you don't go too far and into your host panel.
All right, let's go ahead and do this one.
That's all there is to it.
That's great. What a great tool for getting in tight places. Let's go ahead and get a panel splitter and see if we can knock this off.
Great. Oh, that one's off. That's free, yep. You're good there.
Yep.
You hit that a little more?
Yep. Maybe this one here just save more.
Looks really good. A little bit of rust, a little bit of metal left over on the host panel. That's okay though, the file belt tool gives us nice control so we don't go down too far into this panel. So now what we'll do is we'll use a 3-inch grinder with a roll-lock disc Cubitron 2 abrasive. I think we mentioned that these are about 30% faster cutting and about 2 times the life of our previous product. So really nice product for applications like this.
Cool, let's go ahead and smooth this out.
Okay, you can see how it nicely pulled off those weld nuggets, and now we'll just go after all the corrosion. It's gonna have to be blasted. That's pretty nasty.
All right, now you can see absolutely no damage there. It's a little warm, but didn't even blister the paint. I'll tell you an easy way to do this kind of stuff is have a guy like him. He's got great equipment, and he's got great product. He comes over and work hard. Now you got the other one to do.
All right, I'll get right back at it.
We got a lot more coming here at Sam's Garage. Don't go away. So we think we'll blast this, huh?
Yeah, I think that it would.
Sam's Garage, presented by ARP, is brought to you by LMC Truck. Restore, maintain, customize, parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks and SUVs. The Hedman Performance Group. Hedman Headers, Transdapt and Hamburgers Performance. Quality automotive products since 1954. ARP, proudly made in the USA. The world leader in fastener technology.
Hey, welcome back. Well, Dan and I have got the right rear fender off my 38 GMC, getting ready for some paint. And you know, we got a few small dents that I've noticed here. You don't want to paint over that.
No, you definitely wouldn't want to paint over those. You'd be really unhappy, especially because you're going to a little bit darker color paint. You would pick those right up.
This truck's going to be that Ford Lincoln Mercury color back in the 70s called Dove Gray. Before you do any grinding or sanding of any type, you want to take a good prep sol and wash the whole fender down. That way, any surface contaminants like silicones or wax or anything, you don't drive into the paint, and because that'll come back and bite you when you put the coatings on.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're going to put some really neat filler on here. Dan's going to show us how to stop having any kind of pinhole. So what's our first step here?
Yep, first step before we're able to do filler is we want to pull off all the paint. So what we're going to use is 80 grit on a DA. What we have here is 3M's Cubitron 2 abrasive attached to a self-generating vacuum DA, which is going to collect about 85% of the dust that would normally just be floating around your shop.
Awesome, good, because I don't want my shop dusty.
No, absolutely not. So
all right,
I'll just get after it here.
Nice job there, buddy. Looks good.
Thank you, Sam.
Getting a lot of work out of you. Looks like you had a couple of low spots there that you had to get with the little sander, huh?
Yeah, it came out really nice. After the DA, there was just a couple little spots of paint, and then there's a little bit of body filler right there, which we were able to completely remove. Came out really nice though, and it's not too deep. I'm not worried about just refilling it.
These fenders are solid. They're just paint on them. There's very little filler in them, so they're going to be really nice for this truck. If you look on the floor, there's almost no dust. That DA sander from 3M with the bag on the end of it, on a flat surface, it pulls it all in because it can create the vacuum.
Yep.
All right, it's time for some filler. Let's take a look at this filler you've got.
Sure. Yep. So basically what we're going to use on your fender here, this is a brand new product that 3M just came out with this year. It's called 3M Platinum Select. Basically, this is a professional grade body filler. There's, if you go to the store and buy Bondo, which is a 3M brand, it's a very good filler. But it's not geared towards the professional, it's more geared towards the do-it-yourselfer. Right. When you're getting a product that's for the professional, you get probably a little bit better adhesion, a little bit faster speed, you get nicer sanding characteristics. It's just basically all of the things that are great about Bondo, but just enhanced and even better.
But the guy at home can buy this too, right?
Oh, absolutely, yep.
Okay.
Usually a product like this is going to be sold at more of a paint type store rather than a general auto parts store. The big difference with this though is the way that it addresses pinholes. As you know, I think we've talked about this a little bit before, is that pinholes you can get from either your application process, the way that you mix and apply, but then also pinholes in a small form can be present because of the formulation of the body filler and the way that it's made with glass beads that make it a lightweight filler. 3M technology has really been able to help us dial in on that and give us a much more consistent size. And so it gets rid of half of the pinhole problem. And so what we're going to show you is how to get rid of the other half of the problem in your application.
I'm ready to learn.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, I've mixed a lot of mud in my time because I'll use a gallon to fill a hole that big, sand it all back off because you got to know what you're doing. But there are some things you can do to control pinholes, and they will bite you because that's what paint will sink in, it'll pop later, won't cure right, it can really ruin a paint job.
Yeah, so number one thing, you don't want to stir, you want to fold, and I'll show you that in a second. I am going to apply catalyst here. Do you know how much is the right amount of catalyst?
You know, that's a big question. I know how, if you put too much, it hardens on the paddle, okay, on your spreader. If you don't put enough, it doesn't cure right.
Basically, one stripe across is usually a good enough guess. 2% is the target range. Anywhere in that vicinity is usually good. So you can see my technique here, kind of cleaning off the board as I go, and then you more or less fold it over. You don't want to stir. And this is a nice technique so that you, if you do, yeah, it's not my first time. If you do get any air, then you're kind of working it out as you go.
That's great.
And you can see we're kind of getting to a consistent blue color, which means we're about ready to apply it to your fender. So once you get rid of all the rainbow striping, then you're ready to go.
Great, let's go apply.
All right. So I'm gonna spread this out a little bit. That gives me more working time because the filler cures with heat. So if I spread it out, it kind of slows things down, yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. I always tried to keep it as a lump because I thought that, you know, the air dried. So it's a chemical thing, so if you spread it out, you got more time.
If you keep it as a lump, it will dry faster, yes.
Ah.
So I'm just gonna kind of spread it around here, and then I'm almost gonna take it off. I'll hit everything though first.
That's the big thing. You don't want to put it on in big globs, make it real thick. That makes a lot more work for you, and also it doesn't adhere real well.
So there's different industry terms, but we just call it a tight coat. So you can see how much pressure I'm putting on the spreader. I'm almost taking off what I had applied. So then that just really works it into the metal, wets everything out. Then I'll come back for a little fill. So because this fender had a series of a bunch of smaller dents, it's really just as easy for us to coat the entire area, and then we'll sand off 90% of it.
Okay, and you can go back and recoat this pretty quickly, right?
Oh yeah, yep.
All right, so let's let it dry and we'll sand it.
You bet. Not quite done here, but.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that's nice. First application, we're pretty close, aren't we?
Yeah, I think it's very close. I think one more coat and I think we'll have it right on the money. We'll spend a little bit of time using guide coat and define that body line, but it's
peak
close.
Right there. Definitely don't want to lose that peak. Well, this thing with a little bit more sand and it's going to be ready for primer. Come back next week and help me.
You bet.
We're going to take a quick break. Got a lot more coming here at Sam's Garage, so don't go away. Let me tell you, this is the only way to go. This is my fast shelter. All you need is 110 volts. You plug it in. It inflates. This thing is 25 feet long, 16 feet wide, almost 9 feet to the eaves. It's a portable work shelter. It's OSHA and EPA approved for spray painting. But if you're a detail guy, you need some outdoor space. If you do paintless dent repair, anything like that outside where you miss work because it rains, you don't worry about it. This thing, you can tether it to the ground. If you're on asphalt, they have little deals that hook to it. You can park your car on to anchor it. Of course, you can have it logoed up for your business. It's got hooks on it all over the place to tie it down, support it, put your banners on it. Fast Shelter's got a great thing. They make them any size you want. You want one that's 100 feet long, they can do it. And again, we're going to use this for spray painting. It has an exhaust system, paint filter, everything you need. You can get it with windows, doors on the end, with windows, without windows. If you're an outdoor caterer, outdoor weddings, this is a great way to go. Fast Shelter.
Sam's Garage, presented by ARP, is brought to you by Advertising Edge, the official uniform of the NHRA. Mickey Thompson Tires. Be a part of the legend. The Hedman Performance Group. Hedman Headers. Transdapt and Hamburgers Performance. Quality automotive products since 1954. By ARP. Proudly made in the USA. The world leader in fastener technology.
Working on your restoration, you're looking for some of those hard to find parts, particularly some of those things that are articulated and moved. Here you go, triple chrome plated. This is from OPGI. This is for a 67 Cadillac Eldorado. Now this is die cast, it's hand tooled, and of course it's built to the toughest standards, industry standards. This is a remote mirror. And it comes with factory mounting hardware. It's got the gaskets, everything's included. If you look right here in the staff where the spline is, that's compatible with the original equipment knob or an aftermarket knob, and OPGI's got you covered there because that knob's available. When you look at this unit, especially when it's on the vehicle, it's indistinguishable from the factory part. This is just like factory, so don't chase around the junkyards trying to find the articulated mirror, the adjustable mirror, then you gotta get it chromed. It'll really finish off your restoration. No one will tell it from an original Cadillac part. Because remember, they got award-winning OEM quality at OPGI. All right, made a couple of changes in my 5-liter Ford motor. You know, this is, had the heads planed, compression's up, it's 30 over, had the heads worked. I decided to change the cam. I got a nice little comp cam. This one's got a duration of 266 and 270, 533 lift, both intake and exhaust. So we're gonna dial it in using the intake centerline method. All right, so what I did was set up my mark at 0. I roll the engine back a little bit, put in my piston stop. Now I'll take my degree wheel and my crankshaft, and I'll turn it till it stops. When it stops, that means the pistons come up and it has hit the piston stop. I'll put a little mark. That pointer, by the way, I just made that out of a piece of coat hanger. The stiffer the wire, the better. Get it real close to the wheel, but don't let it touch. Now we'll go back in the opposite direction. And the piston's gonna go down, it's gonna reverse direction and go back up. You wanna do this easy when you start getting back close to it. Piston's gonna strike, there we go. The piston now hit the piston stop, and we'll mark that. Okay, so halfway between, the midpoint's gonna be our true top dead center. But the first thing I do is move the crankshaft a little bit, get the piston stop out, that way you don't make any mistakes. Long thread, there's our piston stop. Now this is the method with the heads on. And if you're doing it with the heads off, you get a plate that goes across the top of the block. So let's see, we're at 30 and we're at, looks like 46. So half of that would be, the midpoint would be, all right, we're at 30 and 46. That's 76, half of that is 38. So we'll go back 38 degrees. All right, so that should take us from here at 38 degrees, will take us, 30 will take us there. So we want to go to 8, and that'll be our true top dead center. Yep, and our marks are lined up exactly. So at that point, I'm going to set the degree wheel to 0. This is a nice little fixture, by the way, for your degree wheel. It's got a knurled knob on it. Set it right there at 0. and now we're at top dead center. All right, now, using the intake centerline method, now that we've got top dead center established, come up here to the valves. In my kit from Comp, I've got new hydraulic rollers, I've got new high energy push rods. Never use push rods over, especially if you're using roller rockers. Now this is a non-adjustable setup, and we're gonna talk about that, but first thing I wanna do is show you that I've got test springs. That way we won't collapse the lifters. I've got a dial indicator set up on the retainer, got a dial indicator set up, and you want that dial indicator stem to be as close to perpendicular to that valve stem as you can. And we'll start turning it, watching the indicator. We're gonna go to maximum lift, and when we hit maximum lift, the indicator will change direction, right there. Okay, so I'll bring it back a little bit, and I'll zero the indicator. I'm gonna zero our indicator. Once the indicator is zeroed, lock it down, then back it up about 100 thousandths. Then we'll turn it in the direction of rotation till it stops at 50. When I get 50, take my marker and I'll mark the degree wheel right there. Then I'm going to go past maximum lift in the same direction until I get 50 again. Almost there, almost there. Then I'll mark my wheel. So that one was at 89 and 146, add the two of them together, divide by 2. And we're right at the 114 intake center line. This is a great way to degree in a cam. It's simple. Next week, we'll talk about rocker arm ratio and how to find the right length push rods. Right now, we're out of time. We'll see you next time here at Sam's Garage.